Healing crystals, skincare routines, knitting a sweater, fitting in jeans. With Katie and Sarah, no need to worry, you're on a lady journey.
I love pants that come up to my tits.
Yes, I like my tits to hang over my pants. Lady Journey.
Lady Journey.
Hi, guys. Another installment.
Hello. I'm Katie Hannigan. You're
And
Sarah Talamash.
I'm Sarah Talamash.
Sorry I spoke for you.
That's all right. You know, you can do all the speaking.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love it.
Will.
I just got so excited, you know?
Yes. Well, you know,
We've had a bit of a roller coaster because we're putting this podcast together.
And yeah, in the middle of it, or yesterday, or whenever we were.
Whenever we were last here, who knows?
Who knows?
Could have been a year, could have been a week.
This happens a lot in podcasting. You will tape an episode and realize you've either run out of storage space and it shuts off without letting you know, especially when you're a one-woman show. We don't have
a two-woman show, yeah. Oh, I'm also a woman.
Yeah.
I like to say that.
A lady.
A lady. We don't actually have a producer.
No, not yet. But we'll get there as part of our journey.
It's, you know what? It is the journey.
Yeah. So we did 2 episodes. Those are on our Patreon, just audio though. And they were amazing.
They were so great. One episode is about the gene shift and the gigantic tumult that we've all been experiencing in gene culture over the past couple of years.
Yes, as you said, every 10 years, all of a sudden we are now forced to wear a new brand of jeans with no warning.
Yes.
There was no pre-shift meeting. It was all of a sudden you show up in your jeans and they're like, you're late.
Yeah, you show up in skinny jeans and they're like, ugh, you're disgusting.
Yeah.
And you're elderly.
And you're a racist.
Yeah. And you're like, I'm sorry.
I had no idea. So yeah, we did a gene shift. So if you want to hear about gene shifting,
that's a great episode. And then what was our other one we did? Oh, we did The Artist's Way.
Oh yeah, The Artist's Way.
The Artist's Way was a good one. And then we also had a little review of the docu-series that we both watched called The Way Down.
Yes, a cult headed by a woman. Like Wild Wild West was kind of in that territory.
Yes, I love a cult headed by a woman.
I know, because I feel like nobody's following me.
Not yet.
But it's really like impressive when I see a female grifter come into the man's world.
Yes, I love
and dominate.
That. And shatter that glass ceiling and use it for her own benefit and no one else's.
I love it. Big fan. So what's your journey? What's your new journey?
Thank you for asking. So I have actually been on a pretty interesting journey ever since COVID. I have been doing home workouts, and I was always kind of like a home workout person because I do yoga, and I've talked about that in a few episodes where especially yoga is like great for travel. And you also don't need any equipment. Like you need you kind of need a mat, but you also don't really need a mat. Like you can do it on a rug.
Yeah.
So, ever since COVID hit, like before COVID, I would do ClassPass, but I never really loved ClassPass because they kind of like don't try as hard. And I was in a spin class and I got an injury, like a leg injury. And so like it's like the teacher kind of cares less, I feel like, with a ClassPass. And then also on top of that, they just want you to work out as hard as you possibly can, you know, and they don't give you like the individual, like, hey, maybe you should try this. So it's like, I'll always get injured in classes because I'm just like, my adrenaline's going. I don't know that I'm like injuring my hamstring.
Yeah. And you're kind of like with ClassPass, it feels like I've never done it. So I'm just going to like generalize horrifically, which I love to do.
Yeah. That's
part of my journey.
That's so you.
I feel like a lot of times you're going into a class that you're actually not very familiar with. The workout.
Right.
You're like, I guess I've never done Soul Cycle. Something I've always wanted to try. But then this guy that I worked with, he's like, don't do it. It just creates like huge calves. And I was like, well, I don't want that. So I didn't do it. And then also I don't need to be yelled at.
Yeah. They'll be like, harder, ladies. And I'm like, I think something popped. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need to go in here and work out as hard as I possibly can. Like,
yes.
let's just do 45 minutes of elevated heart rate. Like, I don't need to feel like I'm in Vietnam.
Yeah, I don't need to take down my male boss right now.
Right.
On his psych, and it's not doing it. This is not going to take him down. He has no idea that I'm here right now.
It's the spin in general is just really hard on your body. And I think I was kind of into it for a while, but it was so hard on me. Like, I used to do spin at our gym that we both used to go to.
Yeah.
And at that time I don't know if you remember this, but I was living in that attic. Yeah. I had to
remember that.
Yeah, those old days. I lived in an attic space for about 5 months, and I had to this is true, I had to climb a ladder to get to my bedroom. Is generous.
And
room is a generous term.
$2,400 a month.
It was pretty. I actually did get a deal on it. It was about.
It's going fast too.
Yeah, it's going fast.
So you have to rush and.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll take it.
But it actually, for New York, it was $800 a month.
That's not bad.
Everything
That's pretty
included.
good.
Everything included. But it was only accessible by a ladder, so I need to emphasize that.
Yeah.
But I would do these spin classes, and there was times where I was like, I can't get into my bedroom because my legs were so
you can't
jacked
lift.
from the
yeah.
I was like struggling up a ladder.
And when you spin, you don't have any upper body strength.
You have and that's what you need. That's exactly the thing you need. So I'm doing a thing now where it's like I'm just doing home workouts. I'm doing all home workouts. This is my routine. Monday, I do spine strengthening yoga. I do it from 5 Parks Yoga. I love Erin. She's so great. She has tons of free videos, and she's got a lot of range of videos, but some of her stuff is really advanced. Tuesday, I do a light jog. Sometimes I haven't been jogging that much just because jogging is also really high impact, and lately it's been messing me up.
Well, you also now live in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime I see somebody running in the city.
Oh, it's psychotic. Yeah.
I'm like, you have to walk to a park, the West Side Highway, go to Central Park.
Yeah.
Or go to that, whatever. I don't even know what's on the east side.
There's an East River Park. So I will go over there. But there's a very narrow point where you have to jog through, and people also ride their bikes through at full speed, even though you're not supposed to. So now I'm like, I don't even want to do that anymore. I can't have like a bike person be like, out of the way. It's like, there's no getting out of the way, sir.
Yeah.
We're both on a 2-foot space.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday, Thursday, 2 other days a week, I'm in love with this woman. Her name is Caroline Girvan. She is she's a Scottish fitness woman.
All right, I'm like, please don't say yoga.
Oh no. She is all about she's freaking jacked, okay? Like, she looks like, talk about butt implants. She's like fully jacked body, fully jacked bottom. And she talks in this like thick brogue, she's like, hello, today we're going to work on, she's just got this hilarious voice, but her workouts are freaking great. And some of those are even too intense, so I'll try to stick to like the 35-40 minute ones. Some of them she has like a full hour. It's like full hour and a half, like leg workout. It's like brutal leg workout. I'm like, anything that says brutal, it's not for me, okay? I'm not training to be in the military. I just want to be able to eat cake like once a week.
Yeah. My fitness goals are definitely like, I don't need that cut that makes me look like I have a penis.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to walk up the stairs and not be winded.
Yes, that's exactly what I want. And I do kind of need to work out just for my own like mental well-being.
Absolutely.
Because and also like sleeping, it's like another thing too. It's like I have to get like a pretty hard workout in once or twice a week. Otherwise I get like pent up anger. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So
I definitely feel like at least working out gets some of the rage out for sure.
Oh God, it's so great. It's great for it. But Caroline Girvan, this is what I love about her more than any other fitness videos that I've ever seen. She does the activity and she has a clock that's counting down, but the entire time she plays awesome music. So
Oh,
it's,
really?
Yeah, it's not like somebody talking over music. She has like little words. She shows the activity that she's doing, and then she'll do it. So it'll be like, this is what's next. This is how much time. This is her doing it. And then the entire time, it's just like awesome hardcore workout music. And that's my favorite thing about working out. I love listening to like dance music and Pitbull. Obviously, everyone who knows me knows. I love Pitbull.
You're a big Pitbull fan.
I love him. I love him. And I used to love to go out dancing, you know, when I was younger.
I do too. I've always thought this. They should just do like day dance, and you just get to show up, because really workout clothes kind of ended up being dance clothes for me. I'm more vibrant in my work clothes. I have a different personality in my work clothes.
Yeah.
Or my expression is, I'm like, it's fluorescent colors.
Yeah.
Weird graphic designs.
You can really try anything. Lululemon.
Yeah, Lululemon.
Well, they have something like that. It's called Daybreaker. Have you ever heard of it?
I have, but I need something that's like 10 a.m.
I know. It's so
like
insane
5 in the
to me
morning,
that it
right?
starts at 5 in the morning, because I always wanted to go. And
Same.
I knew somebody that would go, but I'm just like, if I'm waking up that early, like, and I mean, listen, I'm a comedian, so I work at night. So I know it's like strange for people to be like, I usually wake up at about like 10 or 11, but I don't go to bed until like 1 or 2.
Absolutely.
Because I'm getting to work at like, 9 p.m.
Oh, my first spot the other night was, I went on at 2 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like,
It's a late night.
Sex worker.
Yeah. It's a late night. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're stripping emotionally.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
It's a late night. And so, I'm actually really a morning person, but like if noon was morning, like, so
I like to think I am a morning person, but I cannot wake up for morning. But anytime I am up for morning for an obligation, like today,
yeah,
I am like, isn't this great?
Ah.
It's cleaner. It's like the night cleans the streets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what I love. Like, I do love getting up early for like a travel day, like I love to take a flight. I know this is insane, but I really do prefer just to take a flight at like 6 a.m. People are like, how?
Yeah.
But I do it for a lot of reasons. Number one, because if your flight gets canceled, you can usually find another one.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong, there's more time. But I also just love like getting up and that feeling of like, ooh, something exciting is happening.
Yeah.
You know?
Or and then like when you get back into New York and it's 9 a.m. and you're like, oh, I'm going to go back to bed. That feels so decadent.
Oh, it really does. It's so luxurious.
And then you're like, I already did the main thing today.
Yeah.
And that was get on the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but it can be so brutal though, those early mornings.
Yes. Oh, it hurts. But you know what? It only hurts for about like 5 minutes. Even if I got really no sleep.
Yeah.
And then I'm fine.
Yeah. It's fine for a flight, but to get up and do a full dance party.
Yeah.
Forget it.
I know, but that just seems like so much fun, because that's how I want to dance. And I want to dance like aerobics. Yes. I don't want to dance cool. I want to just be like a spaz on the floor.
I want them to guide me through the dances.
Yeah. And just do it for an hour to 2 hours. And then maybe hang out with some of my friends afterwards, and then get home at a reasonable time.
Oh yeah, and not go to work.
Lady journey.
Yeah. Oh, that is so a lady journey, because I'm not a good dancer. I like to dance, but then like if I'm around like people I know, like we did a thing for a bachelorette party recently, and someone filmed me dancing at pieces, and I was like, oh my God, she put it on Instagram. I was like, why would she do that? And it was so upsetting to me to see myself. I was like dancing like this. And in my mind, I'm like dancing like
feeling it.
Sexy. But then I see the video and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? I
Katie,
need
that
the
was
teacher.
You're vulnerable.
Someone preyed on me.
I will say I've been in the situation where I'm the girl being like, this is so great. We're all having a good time. And I've taken it and I put it up online. And then I realized later, I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that. People were like privately having a good time.
Yeah.
And now out of context, it makes them look ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I felt bad about it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think this person felt bad, but
oh, okay.
I think they were doing it kind of like as a little
like we're
little light ribbing.
Yes.
Which of course I took very seriously.
Of course. Of course. Well, I'm with you on that one. Like I have this feeling like I think I'm a great dancer, but I think definitely to see out of body experience of me dancing would probably be like, I think I have to go kill myself.
Yeah. It's not pleasant. I always think like my like perception of myself is that like I'm very like sexual and gorgeous. And then I like see a photo and I'm like, Mom, hi. Mom's here. I'm like, okay.
Oh my God. That reminds me, our friend, Ashley Brooke Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
She's another great comic in New York. And she was telling me the story about how one of our friends is like a producer for commercials. And he was like, do you want to come in and audition? It's a beer commercial. And he was like, he didn't tell us what part, but one's like beer hot girl. And I was like, oh, I'm definitely not the beer hot girl.
Mm-hmm.
And the one was just like regular wife girl or whatever. And I was like, that's obviously like who he meant that for. Ashley thought she was the beer hot one. And she was talking about like when she went in there, it like devastated her when they're like, oh no, you're this. And I was like, oh, that happens like all the time.
Oh yeah.
You get a casting notice and you're like, that's how you see me?
Oh yes.
Mean white woman.
I remember I got a casting once that was plain woman, and it was my birthday. I'm like heading out for the audition for plain woman.
You're like, why can't I get the like at least a girl next door?
I know. And then
girl
it's like
next door is Playboy hot now.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well, then it's insult to injury when you don't even book it. You're like, oh, I wasn't plain enough.
Yeah, fuck you.
But what's your journey that you're going on?
My journey is, well, I got really into cooking during
COVID.
COVID.
Yeah, COVID hobbies.
I do. I love cooking. It's a trial and error
Totally.
journey. A lot of the times I will be like, I don't have all that. It probably doesn't need all the ingredients.
Yeah.
So I've made a lot of horrific slop. Well, first of all,
Yeah.
there was one I did. There was a keto recipe that I did back in COVID because I think during COVID we kept on like I would be so good, and then I would just like go down like just ordering pizza every day.
Yeah.
And then not doing shit, and then I would go like back to a month of like no sugar, working out all the
Yes.
time, and drinking all like water, and then you're just like, how long I can't do this any longer. Like I need to live my life.
Yeah.
So then this was during like the keto journey, and it was a meal that were like carbless, like a enchilada, and it was like turkey lunch meat that you just lay down on the bottom of the pan and then like drizzle enchilada sauce and then cheese. And I kind of like, while I'm making it, I'm like, I don't know, like this is weird. And then I finally, when I cooked it, it was one of those ones of like, I knew this was bad. And I was really upset that whoever did this recipe thought this was okay to put in the book.
Yeah, some of the keto stuff is really dicey.
It's
really
fucked up.
dicey.
Yeah, it's really
irresponsible. It's ethically irresponsible. You'd be like, no, it was good. It's like, no, it wasn't, Carl.
This is shit. You just fed me complete dog shit right now.
Yeah.
It's awful. And that like sparked a moment where I'm like, you know what I think I'm going to do? You know, and we can talk about this later on the side hustle journey.
Oh, yes. That's an upcoming journey, side hustles.
Where I was in the mindset of like, my goal is to go through each cookbook that I have and cook every recipe and rate it and let you know the pros and cons of it. And that only lasted a week, of course.
That's a COVID goal journey.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I was going to do that. I was like, I'm going to get really into blackjack and I'm going to learn how to do all the blackjack tables. And then I read one book for 10 minutes and I was like, this is not for me. This is a lot of math. Like, forget it. Forget it.
God. Don't you think it's so funny that we're still at an age of like, this is my thing?
It's so true. I could be a card shark.
Yeah.
You know?
You never know.
It's not too late.
It's never too late. So, yeah, that was my journey of like, I was going to go through, and I did sustain it within a reasonable, like, I wasn't going to do like 3 recipes a day, but if I had the time, I could cook. Because cooking is actually, you don't have the time for it in New York.
It's hard.
You just don't.
It's really hard.
I'll have moments where I'm like, if I get home at this time, I can cook. I one time made like a pork roast at 11 o'clock at night.
Oh.
Thinking like, oh, I think I can squeeze in
Yeah.
a shoulder. And it just was like,
It takes so much time.
It does. And then you're like, now I'm eating a meal at midnight. So, and then during COVID, I got into the Chrissy Teigen, Allison Roman
Controversy.
cookbook beefing.
Oh my gosh.
Which-
Literal, where's the beef?
Where
Here
is
it
the-
is in
Oh.
both of our cookbooks.
Absolutely. That lent itself for so many fun puns
So many.
that I can't think of right now.
But did you find that you felt you were on Allison Roman's side?
Well, there's something like Allison Roman's aesthetic, I think kind of like caters to my white late, like, you know what I mean? Like there's certain fonts, the white jeans, that like lighting, the Madewell look. She's Madewell. She's anthropology.
Mhm.
I adore Chrissy Teigen. I even like her toxic side. Like there's something
Yeah.
enjoyable about it.
I know you're like, oh, who doesn't bully?
yeah.
Right? It's fun.
It's
We
part of
all
a lady
do
journey.
it.
That was a side lady journey she got on. But there was something like it felt when I was cooking because I already had the Allison Roman, one of her cookbooks, and I did enjoy it. But I also feel like I got into the Bon Appetit podcast where they were called out for their toxic work culture of lack of
Oh,
diversity.
Yes.
And
yes.
when you listen to it, you're like, it was unfair. A lot of the stuff, like just like catering, they like one made me laugh. Like, I don't know. You see a top 10 list of, and it's always like a white lady with organic wine is making the top, and you're like, is that
Yeah.
really like? And
She's
I
like,
agree with
I
them.
bought this winery with my husband's divorce settlement. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, why is this in a Bon Appetit top 10
Right.
things to do? And so she is in. Apparently, like Allison Roman came up during the Bon Appetit
Mm-hmm.
moment of that time, and she was kind of thrown under the bus there. And then she also said about Marie Kondo and Chrissy Teigen about I'm not doing what they're doing, because they were selling lines at Walmart and Target, and I think Allison Roman's like, I'm a Sur La Table kind of gal,
Yeah.
which is like a higher end.
Well, I find I identify with it a little bit, especially because like in stand up, when somebody comes and they, I've been doing stand up for 12 years and I put my heart and soul into it and it's everything to me. And then when I see somebody who's been doing stand up for 2 years, but because, maybe they were like, not to make this like too parallel, but maybe they were like a movie star and they started doing stand up and now they're in the Walmarts, For me, I'm like, oh, that's kind of upsetting because
Yeah.
I've spent so much time on this craft. But,
It happens.
it
They're
happens
everywhere, and you
It
just kind of like
happens.
maneuver around it. And everyone's doing fine in all these beefs.
Yeah.
Marie Kondo's doing really well. Chrissy Teigen stuff is doing really well.
And you also have to kind of embrace it because it's like that's the nature of the internet and that's the nature of the business. Just because somebody, is successful in a different way, that doesn't mean it's invalid.
Absolutely, because I can like the Sur La Table area, even though that is not a price range I can shop at.
Right.
I appreciate like getting like finding good things at Walmart or Target. Like those are just as fun places to go shopping
Yeah.
for that kind of stuff. But I would have to say, whenever now, because of that stain or whatever Allison Roman has, whenever
The Scarlet Letter.
the Scarlet Letter, when I cook from her cookbook, I feel like it's like I'm in trouble, and I'm like cooking from the anarchist cookbook of like this is my dirty little secret. Like when I go to
Oh
a
my God.
party and they're like, "Oh, where'd you get this recipe?" I'm like, the Allison Roman cookbook. I'm bad.
That's hilarious. That's so hilarious. Like a renegade chef.
Yeah, like watch out. Sarah's doing Allison Roman stuff, but I think she's kind of atoned.
Mm-hmm.
And
She did make an apology, and she said it like what she said was tone deaf, and it came off wrong.
yeah,
and
and I
it's
don't
like,
even think she's actually wrong for being like, that's not what I want to do. This is the market that I want to
Yeah.
sell at. So but it did have an air of like,
it
I
was
don't
like-
do that.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And
Um,
it's like poor people want to cook too.
yeah, look, me.
Right. Let
Yeah.
us do it.
And it's funny when I'm like, us poor people, and then we're just talking about like getting
Us poor
couches.
people with running water and
Yeah.
amazing lives.
Well,
Well, I made a great recipe. Can I share my recipe?
yes, I would love that.
I did one. I love to cook for my boyfriend because he loves. Anytime I cook, he's like, "This is amazing," and I just love the attention, So I'm like, "Did you love
Yeah.
it? Did you really love it?"
But really, what it is, not to knock you down a peg,
Mm-hmm.
is like you're following directions really, really well. right?
Well, no, because I never go by a recipe specifically.
Gotcha.
Sometimes
so you're
I
doing
do.
something different.
Sometimes I do, but I always like throw my little, like I did a shepherd's pie.
Okay. Which is bland as shit.
Yeah, but I really seasoned it.
Okay.
This is how I seasoned it. Yeah, they're usually like pretty bland.
My mom would never put any salt and pepper or even really butter in the potatoes.
So white.
I know it was.
So South African shepherd's pie.
There are times like, what? I'm like, Ma, I don't know. I didn't know that was like until later on when you're eating it and you're like, oh, I know what's happening at the home now.
Yeah. I grew up like that too, where it was
Yeah.
like mashed potatoes, gravy, and like roast beef and like
Not into
steamed
seasoning.
broccoli. Yeah.
It's
And
crazy.
salt and pepper, but that was kind of it. So for my shepherd's pie, when I did the ground beef, instead of doing like, the recipe called for like a little tomato paste, a little water, and that was really kind of it, and salt and pepper.
Yeah.
But I cut the tomato paste. I did about the juice of 1 lemon. I did.
I think citric is always like the surprise ingredient that freshens things up.
Yeah, it really gives a savory quality, and it doesn't taste lemony. It
Yeah.
just tastes, because I did that, and then 2 tablespoons of cayenne pepper, or no, not cayenne pepper. Sorry, chili powder,
Okay.
and then a little oregano, maybe like a 1/4 teaspoon, and a 1/4 teaspoon of like red
Okay.
pepper flakes.
It's almost kind of like close to a chili without the cumin.
It was like
and paprika.
but it didn't taste like spicy really. It just tasted so
Flavorful,
savory. Yeah,
yes.
so flavorful. But I think I almost made it too rich because I put too much butter in the mashed potatoes. I just kind of like,
I don't think you can ever put too much butter in anything.
oh, I put a lot.
Yeah.
It was probably like a pound of potatoes. I think I put like 3 tablespoons of butter. It was like, I had the rest of it last night. It was great.
Oh, it sounds
It
wonderful.
was a good shepherd's pie.
Yeah. I haven't had the reason why I haven't had a shepherd's pie in ages is like I'm just feel like it's been boring everywhere I've gone.
Yeah.
Or at least like when it was at home.
It's such a dish of like the Irish peasantry,
Yeah.
That's
just
kind of why I like to get back to my roots. Like,
leftover meats and potatoes
Yeah.
and vegetables.
did you know that Irish people, they would literally just eat like 13 pounds of potatoes a day? Like that's literally what one person would eat.
I'd love to just find out that is not what's happening and you're just throwing that out.
I've just totally made up a fact.
A stereotype of
13 pounds is a lot.
it just sounds like if that's
Sounds like
something you throw that at a party, somebody's like, Katie's racist towards Irish people.
Yeah, Katie's making shit up. Well, this is why I love this podcast, because I love like both of the topics that we've had today, like working home workouts and like cooking. It's just
Yeah.
like such stuff that you can really embrace as you are, getting older. Like I'm 35, and it's definitely stuff like it.
God, you're so fortunate. I'm so
Thank
jealous.
you. That makes me feel good because
Yeah.
I feel at every age. I was 21. I'm like, I feel old.
I know. I remember crying at 19 at the restaurant that I worked at because I hadn't done anything with my life yet. I know. I look back, I'm like, what was your problem?
Emotional
yeah.
instability. That sounds like a
Crazy.
classic 19-year-old.
Yeah, like I'm not doing. You're like, well, you're not supposed to be doing anything with your life right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I was doing when I was 19, but
I was just getting drunk.
yeah, I think I was probably just smoking pot. I
Yeah.
was going to school. I was doing my like plays and stuff. I remember I was in my theater program, so I was going to college.
Yeah.
That's kind of doing something. I mean, I was getting a liberal arts degree.
Yeah.
So I was also doing nothing with my life, I guess,
Yeah.
at that point. But it's so interesting. Being 35 now, it just feels massively old to me. I mean, it feels ancient.
It definitely feels like you're in that like we are like ladies.
We
Like,
are you're fully an adult at this point. It's like,
yeah.
it's like at this point, if you're, if you're like
You're
35 and you're acting like you're 21, like
something's
It's-
gone. It's not good.
something's wrong and we feel bad for you.
Yeah,
you know?
like I feel like at this age you kind of start like reprimanding people.
yeah, you're like,
Get down from there.
age gracefully, No, I mean, you can always, you could go out, you can party, but there's something really
Yeah.
fun, I think, about like embracing that life shift of,
Yes.
growing into a more mature woman, having a very large selection of herbal teas,
Yes.
for example.
yes. Oh my god.
I have 8 different boxes.
Yeah. Now when people come over, you're like, "Do you want any? I have so much tea.
I have so many beverages. Yeah.
Yeah.
When people would come over when I was in my 20s, I wouldn't even offer. I'm like, we have one cup and I'm using it for myself. So back away from my cup.
Can't have any. Yeah. Now you have like bowls to present snacks in.
Snack bowls. Oh,
yeah.
So fabulous.
No, there's a lot of like things that you're like, well, look at who I am.
It's kind of nice in a way. Yeah, well.
I found a high-end t-shirt brand I like that I buy 5 of them now. Yeah.
That's the great.
Yeah.
That's the thing too about like, I think, as you grow older, but you don't have kids, you still kind of like, become like an older, cooler teenager,
Yeah.
Like I don't have kids, but what I do have is a weird hat collection,
I have like a tub of sketch costumes and I buy wigs still.
Yeah.
There are times when we're like doing, cuz we do like sketch videos and I'm like on like Amazon buying like an 18th century blouse so I can do like The Conjuring, and I'm like, are my friends doing this right now?
Our life is cool. Yeah, I did a sketch last week where I was dressed as Marie Antoinette and we had to order the wig, and I was like, oh, this is really fun.
Yeah.
This is really fun. Until you like go out, we did like one scene outside and I was like, I don't want anyone to see me like this.
Yeah.
I'm in full like period makeup.
Well, there definitely are times where I'm like shooting something and then I'm like in the middle of like fixing something and I'm like this, oh my God, is this sad? I can't tell if this is sad.
It's like, is this sad or is it fun?
Yeah.
Right?
Are people jealous of this?
It's a fine line. I know. It's kind of like when you're in your late 20s and you go on Facebook, you're like, oh, my friends from high school have friends, but I'm still living my life. But then like when you get to your like mid to late 30s, you're like, I feel like they're having a great time actually. Like,
yeah, they're like doing crafts with their kids and then
they're relaxing.
Yeah, and I'm just like on my ring light doing my scene over and over again.
Yeah, talking into the void.
Where I'm like, is this good? I have no idea. But I do remember like moving here when we talked earlier, like I moved here at 30 and I remember crashing. My first place that I stayed at was at the McKibben Lofts.
My aunt used to live there.
Did she really?
That place was so nuts.
It was, because it's like it's kind of like an artist studio. I guess
everybody that lives in, she lived with a guy who he was like an experimental carpenter, and he would like do weird carpentry all over their entire house.
Yeah, and then there'll be like these huge storage rooms that you crash in, but then you'd be sharing it with 8 people that made their own cubicle size space bedroom.
Yeah.
So I was staying with my friend Paul Odo for a week until I could find a place like an actual like an apartment. And I remember he had a bunk bed. I slept on the one underneath. And then when you open up his like cubicle to the living room, the shared living room, which was a wide open space, there was like scrap metal storage on the other side of the room. And it was cool. It looked like a place where Janet Jackson would film a music video in the 80s, like Pleasure Principle or something. But I took camera photo and like photos of it. I feel so old. Camera photos.
I took a moving picture of it.
And I remember meeting my friends that came here to do the big like conference. They worked on Fox, and there's a big media conference that they do once a year for advertisers. And I met them, and they're all like, pretty well into their careers at this point, married and having one or first or second kids. And I'm like, I showed them where I'm staying, and they were like, this is wild.
Yeah.
Absolutely concerned for me that I'm like, and that's scrap metal over there.
Check this out. Was that a digital photo that you showed them, or was it like a?
At the time, it's 08, so I had the first or second.
I moved here in 08
iPhone.
too.
Did you? Okay,
oh my God,
wild. So I had the iPhone, so it was I was taking photos. It was a decent photo to show, but their minds were blown because they were all like living in the suburbs at this time, or like really nice apartments, and then I'm like 2 suitcases and just crashing on a couch with scrap metal nearby me.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
It's a way to stay young, though.
It really is, yeah.
Well, the McKibben Loft, I mean, I've heard so many rumors about that place. It was rumored that there was a Coke like there was like a party room in the basement where it would just be like turned into a nightclub.
That sounds
Coke-fueled nightclub.
That sounds amazing. I
Yeah.
would have gone if I knew
Yeah,
that was happening.
Maybe it didn't happen until later because I don't think my aunt lived there until she lived there in like 2012, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe like 2013.
It's also like I remember there was a guy there that was kind of like, I would say not the patriarch, but there's always like in those roommate situations where you have 8, there's like one that's been there the longest.
The alpha roommate.
Yes.
Terrifying.
That kind of like dominates. He was just like on unemployment, just smoking pot and watching Family Guy all day long.
Oh, research.
I know.
Weed search. But that's the thing, at least like as you grow older, you have these like, these things that like compensate, it's like, that's a thing to do at 30 or before 30,
Yeah.
Now when you're older, it's like, now you get to like, it makes up for, your butt like sagging off and like my face is like kind of falling off when I'm like, hey, I got a couch.
Yeah.
Okay. I can do home workouts now. I got a recipe book.
A nice pair of sheets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes me think about like, having this life shift of like you're raging 20s to like 30s. And I think like it's going to come again. I'm thinking like, what am I going to be like in my 60s? Like, oh, what am I going to take up? Am I going to be like, what if I'm a bitch? What if I rebrand as the old bitch,
Well, I always assume that like I'll just kind of go back. I will probably let go of the idea of being successul.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not going to have that drive and where you're more comfortable. You're like, what's wrong with working doing floral arrangements?
Oh, yeah.
And just making minimum wage and living in a decent like apartment that I can barely afford.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I'll live in New York when I'm older. That's my fantasy. You know about my fantasy of being a barista.
No, I want to hear about this because I also have my old age fantasy.
I just think, I love coffee. Supposedly I like getting up early and I'll just go, and I'll kind of make the drinks. But I won't be at a Starbucks.
No.
I'll be at like,
one with like plants.
A cool place that I own.
And every now and then you let like kids do their art there or like maybe have a band play there every now and then.
A little jazz, something cool. And I'll just be like making a latte, whatever. I love it.
that. What town are you thinking?
I think it would be cute. Like I love Murder, She Wrote. So I love like that, whatever the seaside town is that she lives in, like something like that. A small seaside town in like Maine, Cabot's Cove. That's what it's called.
I love that. And I do picture you later on maybe solving some murders.
Or committing some. Depends if I'm a bitch or not in my old age.
Yeah. Watch out, Mike. Yeah, mine's like I have the idea of like a retirement community with a lot of the friends that I enjoyed over the years or like high school buddies that I still keep in contact with.
Yeah, I feel like there will be a comedian's retirement community. Well, did you see that documentary about that retirement community in Florida? That's like 100,000 people.
No. What?
I'll have to send
what?
We have to watch it for this because I only watched the first part of it, but it's literally like a town of 100,000 like seniors and everybody just like goes there and it's so fun. It's this gigantic retirement community. They do activities like clogging, which old people love to do that for some reason.
I'm totally into that because when we just went to Palm Springs. We went to Indian Wells, which is kind of like a town.
Oh, I've been
over.
there.
Yeah. But we hung out in Palm Springs, and that really is like also a lot of old people, but like just rich, and you're like, I could totally get into this.
Palm Springs is so
I could
great.
play like golf with my ladies or take up tennis.
Yeah. Ooh, or drink an Arnold Palmer on the court.
And then we kind of go like house
field,
hopping. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like delightful to me.
It'd be fun. But I wouldn't want it to be too many comedians though in the retirement community because then
No.
like, people would still be trying to like get famous. It's like we have to let
We're
go
done
of
with
that.
that.
We're like, hey, I got a new TikTok. Like, no, we
Yeah.
did that.
We're done. And also like a lot of comedians are like already toxic as it is. I just feel like as you get older, you get worse in your personality behaviors.
Yeah, they'd be like,
disorders.
hey, look who really got a healthy doctor's visit. And you're like, meh, my knee's bad,
Yeah.
They'd be posting it on their social media.
Yeah, it's too much. I would only do like maybe 1 or 2 comics that I actually would probably be friends with if we were never in the comedy community.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not
Lady
going to name any
Jenny.
names.
Yeah.
but Lady Journey.
But if you pay us money, I'll let you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's actually true in any case. If you Venmo me $100, I will expose a comedian who's been inappropriate to you. And if you're a comedian and you Venmo me $100, I will give a cameo that says that you are an upstanding man.
Yeah.
So let's be honest, you're a man.
Yeah.
If you're Venmoing me to vouch for your credibility.
Then there's something wrong.
This was a fun Lady Journey. I feel like
Guys,
this was our best one, I think.
I do too. I think we've peaked.
We're really like, we're getting, this is our peak, and it's going to be downhill. The journey's going straight down.
Well, we have talked about turning into a cult, so.
Yeah, I think
Fun.
Pretty soon. I mean, we do want money.
We do want money.
So
buy our books.
Yeah, buy our books, and please actually do subscribe to our Patreon, which we have.
Yes, we have a Patreon, and then email us with any kind of journey that you're on at ladyjourneypodcast@gmail.com.
ladyjourneypodcast@gmail.com. I love how one trope of this show is that every time we say the email address wrong at least once, we're like, is it pod lady jam time? But yeah, take a look at our Patreon. It's all set up now. We've got a lot of new content on it because, as we said, we messed up the video on a couple episodes. But hey, we slapped them right up on Patreon. It's a good 2-hour binge of lots of snippets. We talk about
gene shifting.
We talk about the radical shift in gene culture that we're experiencing in America. Skinny to wide leg. What is next? We talk about The Way Down, fantastic documentary, and lots of other fun stuff. And please rate and review and give us a little subscription, okay? Click subscribe. I actually forget how it works on podcasts, but click the subscribe. Give us a 5-star and write a little note like, hey, I'm in my 30s. I get it.
Yeah. Perfect.
Something like that.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Lady Journey.
Lady Journey.